Yeah.
What are you doing? Evidently that means come help me. That's what that means, huh? There, hello. Hello, YouTube.
He did not just drink a
Okay.
by the way.
So, the strength of our boat is going to be largely determined on how accurately we do this. Okay? This stuff that's in this packet is an epoxy resin and a hardener. Okay? And I don't know very much about it. So it's not, I mean, I know what I've learned over the last few weeks. I have used this in the past, but I can't say accurately that I used it correctly. Whether or not it worked, right? I've used it on the sailboat out here and it worked. This packet is not how we'll be using it very often. Okay, this came in like a kit to fix cracks and holes or some sort of boat repair kit, I think is what it's called. Okay. Our stuff will be in large jugs, and they'll have they'll have little spigots on the top. And the way West Systems, which is what this stuff is called or made by, that the epoxy side or the resin side is a lot bigger reservoir than the hardener side. So there's a ratio. It's 5 to 1, I believe, with West System. So 5 times. So if I have 5 of the same amounts of epoxy, I'll have 1 amount of hardener. Does that make sense? So if I had 10 amounts of epoxy, I would have 2 amounts of hardener. If I had 15 amounts of epoxy, then I'd have 3 amounts of hardener. Does that make sense? I'll have to read up on that again, but I believe that it is 5 to 1. Okay? Not all epoxies are that way. This is another epoxy right here. And this is a 1 to 1 epoxy.
What kind is that?
This is called glaze coat. This is some stuff I was just practicing with. Okay?
Because the one that I saw for that one said 1 to 1. But
No, it's 1 squirt to 1 squirt. So my understanding, now the sad thing is that all these pumps are all the same. These are all hardener pumps. Okay? But my understanding is that the way that the West System sets it up is that 1 full squeeze of this, okay, it's either 1 amount, so that they're all the same, or that like 1 squeeze of the resin pump and 1 squeeze of this makes 1 batch. So it would exactly be 5. It'd be 5 amounts to 1 amount. Does that make sense? We'll have to figure that out when I actually get a resin pump. Currently, I have 3 hardener pumps. I don't have any resin, or 4 hardener pumps. I don't have any resin pumps. But that'll change tomorrow, hopefully. Either way, they use a pump system. Okay? And so you'll have a cup, maybe something like this, and it'll be in a jug, and you'll come over and you'll squirt however many squirts you're supposed to squirt, and that has to be accurate. You can't squirt 1.5. You can't squirt half a squirt. You have to squirt a full squirt. Alright? If nothing comes out, then it's not accurate. Does that make sense? Right? Or if nothing comes out until you get all the way down to the bottom, then we got problems. The mixing, from my understanding, is super, super important also. Alright? The resin by itself will never be anything. It'll just be resin. It'll be liquid and it'll stay liquid forever. Kind of a sticky liquid. Unless it's mixed with hardener. Okay? So if you put the resin into a cup and you put the hardener in a cup and you don't really stir it all that well, then not all the resin comes in contact with the hardener. Does that make sense? Okay? And that means every little bit of resin that doesn't ever come in contact with hardener when you're stirring it will never be anything other than resin. It'll never be epoxy. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like making babies, right? You have Well, no, but hear me out.
Just wonder where you're going with this, baby.
You got A and B that come together, right? If they don't ever come together, then they will never be anything other than A or B. Once they come together, they become epoxy.
Or baby.
Or a baby, right? A baby, you have an egg and
It's okay.
and stuff.
It's okay.
If they don't ever come together, it's always just going to be an egg and it's always just going to be stuff.
That stuff has a name.
Okay?
Wow, horrible example.
All right. So let's try another example. A non-sagging mixture. Okay. All right. So the idea is, this is how all this is going to work. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to mix 105 epoxy resin with 205 hardener. Okay, we'll mix that up thoroughly for about a minute, and then we'll add 406 adhesive filler into it. And so the epoxy is basically like glue, but this really makes it more like glue. Okay, just epoxy by itself is like glue, but it's also like it's like sealer and glue. So to take and put something together and really make it stick, you need it to be a little thicker. Because what happens is when it's in the thin form and you get it all clamped together or however you have it together, the epoxy gets really thin like water and it just kind of flows out. Does that make sense? So,
yeah, but can it stick to anything?
yes, that's why we have, yeah, and it does stick to anything. Skin, whatever. You get it on you, it's not going to be good. So you have to be really careful.
So it's not going to come off in a long time?
You can get it off with some white vinegar, is my understanding, and then you can get it off with acetone. Stuff's made to stick, and it's made to stick to everything. So, I guess, does anybody have any questions? Nope. Alright. There's going to be a lot of this stuff mixed by y'all, without anybody else's supervision. If y'all don't get it correct, and it's on a structural component of the boat that is very important, then you could possibly be putting your own life at risk and everybody else's. Make sense? It's serious business, in other words. It's not jack around stuff. It's going to be tedious. It's going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cups of this stuff mixed. Standing there mixing it by hand because we can't use a drill. Okay?
What?
Because when you use a drill, it introduces air bubbles in it, and you get air bubbles in it, it changes the consistency of the strength of the chemical. And so you have to do it by hand. So you're gonna see, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold this up, and so the clear stuff is the epoxy, okay? And I'm gonna be very, very thorough about squeezing every last little bit. Now I'm told that what's in this packet is basically 1 squirt of resin and 1 squirt of hardener. Okay? And like I said, this stuff is messy. So we're gonna try to get that on there. And then ideally I have a smaller cup, but I'm gonna just mix and mix and mix. I'm gonna make sure I get it off the sides. I'm gonna make sure I scrape the bottom. And I'm gonna make sure I mix for about a minute. They tell me that you don't want to leave this in this cup. Okay? For some reason, whenever you leave it in a cup or a small confined space, it gets really hot, and the hotter this stuff gets, the faster it dries. Because there's going to be a lot more. So this is kind of where I'm at. I think that's going to be okay. Just get this stuff out of here. Smaller cup would be a lot better. This is just what I had. And it's really not that much stuff, but I think for what we're doing, it'll be all right. But so I'm gonna go ahead and turn that upside down. All right, let's see what we can do here. The way this is gonna go, I don't feel like anyway. Like I said, I've never done this before. We're gonna find out. But we're going to. This is just glue right now, right? And these boards are gonna be very thoroughly forced together. Hold this up. Hold this board, kind of like just still and steady, right there. Good.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
You need to hold the
holding.
top one.
You're holding the board, son.
Oh yeah, I got it.
You got it. Okay, you good?
I think so.
Okay.
It's the epoxy side, right?
And cut both sides.
Oh, okay.
Get it over the.
Added
Keep
a
it the other
hardener in there.
The
Adhesive.
adhesive
406.
filler silica
Number 406.
and something else. They said what was it called? It started with a C.
Calica.
Calica.
Cola cow.
What this is, it's supposed to be the consistency of catsup.
What's catsup?
It's ketchup, but it says catsup.
That's how ketchup is spelled, isn't it? Or does it say cat? It says cat.
It says catsup.
Like cat space up.
No, cats, like C-A-T-S, up. All one
With
word.
no
Spell.
spaces. Dad said ketchup earlier when I showed him on my phone, and I was like, that does not say ketchup.
How do you-
Ketchup is K-E-T-C-H.
You're not.
I'm not so certain.
I am.
That says ketchup in the refrigerator. It does not say catsup. It says ketchup.
He thinks ketchup isn't
Ketch.
spelled the way I said it.
Oh, it's K-E-T-C-H-U-P.
I've seen it spelled cats up before.
What says ketchup?
Like on Heinz 57, I believe it's spelled cats up, not catch up.